Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bella's Corner, where the truth is delivered with love. Thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm Femininity Coach Bella. Let's go ahead and get into it. And before we officially do, I would like to please ask you to hit the like button.
My name is Jillian. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Canada. The highest level of education completed was high school. I decided not to go to college, and I said I'm single, right?
And then what do you do for work?
I'm a writer.
Okay. It's not for Vice though, right?
No,
Okay.
I saw that in the comments.
Yeah, fuck
No.
Vice. Okay. What about you?
Hi, my name is Hollywood. I'm a certified.
Ladies, always remember to keep it classy and never trashy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So as I'm sure most of you know, there is a viral interview going around that was on Cam Newton's YouTube channel on Funky Friday, and it was with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. So apparently she is a licensed therapist. I'm not familiar with Basketball Wives, but apparently she was on Basketball Wives too. I don't know nothing about that because I don't watch that and never have. But nonetheless, I certainly think it was a good interview. So I wanted to go over a couple of clips just to highlight a few parts that I think were some gems that the ladies could grab some takeaways from. So I have about a 2.5-minute clip that we are going to go over and break down. So here it is.
You said there's a lot of that black women, and I know it was a joke, but being serious, black women are women, folks would hire to do the detective investigative work. Mm-hmm. They're going to find out anything. They're going to be on social media, Instagram, cell phones, all that. They're going to piece it together. They're going to figure it out. See, that's the dysfunction that I'm talking about is an issue.
Okay.
And that's also when I'm referring to low functioning behaviors. That's a choosing issue. Mm-hmm.
So I'll say this. Personally, I have never been the one to check phones, go through Instagram, go through DMs, comments. I have never been that one because most of the time, or nearly all the time, I have trusted the man who I've decided to be with. So ladies, I certainly, as a femininity coach, I do not advocate for going through your man's phone, his social media. Now, I understand it's one thing if you two follow one another and you notice that there are certain patterns from a particular account who's always commenting on his pictures and, heart face emojis and compliment here. Oh my goodness, there. I get that part. But doing secretive, investigative, all of a sudden you're the new Inspector Gadget. I don't advocate for that because that means you don't have a peace of mind about who you're with. And you cannot, as the ladies love to say, rest in your feminine if you constantly have to be on your P's and Q's and checking behind your back and his back to see if he's doing something that he isn't supposed to. As Dr. Bryant said, that's a choosing issue. Okay, ladies? So I get it. He may not be trustworthy, but you picked him, babe. So let's go back to the drawing board and see who's really the problem. He may be the problem, but babe, you are too. Because it takes two to tango. It takes two to be in a relationship. And if he's out here doing his thing, like if he's actually in fact doing his thing, don't stay with him simply because he's cute. You like the aesthetic. He's popular. The two of you are the popular couple or whatever reasons that are probably just silly that you can think of, that you can come up with. If you cannot lay your head down at night on your pillow and have a peaceful rest, you don't need to be with him.
First of all, not that I'm better than any other woman or they're better than me. I'm not choosing a man that I have to become a detective to. Even the men I called off weddings from, to their defense, just because I called it off doesn't mean they weren't good men. I'm choosing men who I can be a wife or a woman to. I'm not choosing a man that I can be a detective to. So when women are choosing men, I think that certain things to become aware of are, do I have to go into my detective, which is my trauma? Do I have to go into my investigative, which is my dysfunction? Because if so, that man is triggering and bringing those things up. And he only brings those things up in you because those things are in him. Yeah. And start trusting your spirit more, ladies. And this is another thing.
Now, I'll say this. I disagree with the idea of the reason that he's triggering you, or the reason that you're triggered, is because he brings that out of him because he has that similar trigger. I don't necessarily agree with that, because sometimes there can be one person who is healed in the relationship, or who communicates better, or who's more emotionally intelligent, and the other person isn't necessarily at that level. And the person who's healed can trigger their partner's trauma simply from just using a particular word or phrase that the individual has attributed to a past negative experience. That's honestly the meaning, or the general idea of what a trigger is. This trigger doesn't necessarily have to be secretly or covertly housed within the healthy partner, but again, instead, there could be something that this individual said that may not even have been on purpose. More than likely, it wasn't on purpose, that caused the unhealthy partner to feel attacked in some way. Now, it certainly is a thing that your partner could in fact have that similar trigger, but I don't necessarily 100% agree with that notion. Another thing is, I really liked how she said she's choosing a man she can be a woman and a wife to, a woman with and a wife to, and not choosing a man who she has to be a detective to. Absolutely. Because even as I just said, you cannot, as a woman who is attempting to rest in her femininity, who is steadily increasing her femininity by doing the inner work, by doing the inner healing, by tapping into her feminine essence when it comes to her habits, her hobbies, taking care of herself better, being more in tune with her emotional intelligence, with being more patient, with being more kind, with being more gentle, with volunteering, and just truly loving on herself and making herself a better woman in preparation for this thing called marriage. This woman, she doesn't have time, or she doesn't have it within her to dig up negative associations with her past. And honestly, it's energy draining. And the thing is, she cannot do those things. She cannot rest in her feminine. She cannot love this man as his woman and as his wife to her fullest capacity and in the way that he needs if she is constantly tapping into the unhealed portions of her. I mean, granted, I'm not saying even that I came into my marriage and into the relationship with my husband perfect, because I certainly had some things that I had to heal from and grow through. However, the things that I needed healing from, my husband aided in that growth, aided in that healing. But if you have two people who are completely broken and shattered, that is when trauma bonding occurs. But nonetheless, again, I'm not saying I was completely healed and wasn't going through some things and didn't have triggers, because I certainly did. However, I was woman enough to acknowledge them, to check myself, and to essentially course correct in order to properly love this man and to be with this man and to stop being rebellious and to submit to his system, order, and structure. Because if I stayed in my brokenness, if I stayed with my attitude, if I was content in the way that I operated as a single broken woman who came with wounds and with trauma and insecurities, it wouldn't have been conducive to my growth as a woman, as an individual, nor with helping my husband facilitate his growth and his healing as a man. You have to understand, ladies, that when you are in a relationship, when you're in a healthy relationship, when two people are in relationships, again, it doesn't mean that they're both healed necessarily, but when you're two people who are willing to do the introspective work and who are willing to grow through their flaws and to be honest about the things they have to work through, they can help each other heal. A masculine man can help a feminine woman heal. A feminine woman can help a masculine man heal, but they both have to be willing to put in the work. So back to what Dr. Bryant said, she said that's why it comes to choosing a man who you can be a woman with, choosing a man who you can be a wife to. I never, even in spite of my triggers, in spite of my insecurities that were within, I never had to dig into a bag, my magnifying glass and my lie detector radar and things of that nature. Because although, again, I was broken in certain instances, I still trusted this man who I was with. We're going to move on in this clip, but I'm also going to say this. I chose a man who I could be a wife to. I chose a man who could be a husband to me. I'm loyal to him. He's loyal to me. I trust him and he trusts me, which is why if you're not new around here, if you've been here, you've known that my husband has been away for work quite a few times. And as I've expressed, and as I'm sure you can tell, I never worry about pretty little hair, not one speck of hair on my head. You hear me? Because I trusted him, and because I didn't allow social media to become engrafted and rooted within my subconscious to cause me to distrust the man who I chose to be with. I remember on one of my live streams, a young lady asked me how can I trust my boyfriend when we're in a long distance relationship? And I told her, well, continue to do the things that you're going to do, because I mean, at the end of the day, you don't know what he's doing and what he's not doing, first of all. But if you're bettering yourself as a woman, and if you're including him in your day, even if it's from a distance, you're sending him pictures, you're sending him updates, and yada yada yada, you continue to do what you're supposed to do, and he's going to make the choice whether he's going to stay with you and be with you or not, because you can't force someone to be in a committed relationship with you. You can't force someone to be loyal, because loyalty is something that someone is. It isn't something that you can force someone into. Too many ladies are trying to force unloyal men to be loyal. And he has showed them several times over and over that he can't be trusted. Stop choosing these men, ladies. Dr. Bryant said this is about a choosing problem. There are loyal men. He may not come in the package that you want, or that you expect, or that you may not like immediately, but stop discounting the good men off of your poor choices, because you're too busy looking at the aesthetic and the package and the dream and the this and the that. Let's keep going.
Women with daddy issues are going to be okay with being an investigator and a detective, because oftentimes, remember, they have learned subconsciously how to investigate and detective. Why is daddy not here in the household? So it doesn't make me say, why would they not grow up thinking the norm is to wonder where you're at, to wonder what you're doing, and to wonder why you're not there, and think that that's okay based on their norm of daddy issues. I have a father who we were best of friends, who was extremely, extremely involved in my life, a father, a daddy, everything. So I never had to wonder or investigate my father. I never had to wonder or investigate his motives with me. Mm-hmm. So I don't navigate the world thinking that that's the norm, to try to figure out or investigate on social media, through your cell phone, through anything, what your motives are, who you are, what are you doing. That is an unhealthy relationship. That is your trauma and your pain choosing for you. And I would offer that any woman who's in that situation get help. Leaving isn't easy. How to choose different. Learn how to choose better, because you deserve better. And let me go further. The man who you're investigating, or you're feeling like you have to do these things with, and you can't just be in a safe space, you can't nest him, he also deserves better. And his getting better is you pivoting and leaving and telling him that he needs to get some help before he can be with a woman who is of your caliber. When I say your caliber, who's willing to get help for yourself, so you choose different. Daddy issues don't mean you got to be with your daddy. It just means you got to take inventory of what daddy who you didn't have looks like, and stop choosing that kind of man.
Did you hear that? Everything isn't Jermaine's fault, ladies. Sometimes it's your fault. Yes, he may need work. Yes, he needs some healing. But babe, you do too. You have to facilitate your own healing. Yes, a masculine man can help. He can help you go through it. But you have to be willing to undergo that procedure. You understand? Something that she touched on social media. Do not allow modern dating narratives to shape your behavior in relationships, especially when these opinions and narratives are reflective on an unhealthy self-image and negative experiences. There are too many people, and I know I've often spoken on or touched on or said things similar when it comes to disengaging from social media and not allowing them to infringe upon your psyche when it comes to your behavior on the dating market. Because for one, social media is not real. It's a highlight reel of the good stuff, of the good parts, of the things that people want you to see. And a lot of times, or many times, people are not happy like they may seem online, or they're not having as much fun as they may appear. So you have to be careful about that. But back to not allowing modern dating narratives to shape your behavior in relationships is very, very important. Because there are a lot of women online telling other women to, if he wants you to let him know when you made it home, or once you leave, when you made it to the store and things of that nature, that he's controlling. Oh no, he's surveilling you. That's surveilling. That's controlling. No, that is what a masculine man who now has taken you up under his wing, that is the order, that is the structure that he puts in place to ensure that the person who is up under his wing, who's a part of his protection, is safe. But to the modern woman, to the rebellious woman, to the Jezebel, to the unlearned woman, that's controlling. But it is not. You have to deprogram yourself from the deep roots that feminism has created in the opinions of modern dating and relationship, particularly through women. Women can I know men can gaslight you, but ooh, baby, women will gaslight you up and down, thinking that the man you're with is controlling. He's a bad man. He's not a good man. Whole time she's an undercover feminist. Or she's a young woman on the dating market, in the dating market, who has adopted feminist ideology unwittingly. And now she's shaping, again, your behavior, your mindset, and your opinion when it comes to how you should be in your relationships. That's why you need to, as I've said before, you need to unplug from the matrix and plug back in with God. And also, while you're doing that, you also need to be aware of where you're hurting. So those triggers don't cause you to fumble your husband. So those triggers won't continue to raise their ugly head and cause unnecessary rifts in your relationship. You have to heal, sweetie. So I urge you to ask yourself, do I have to tap into my trauma in order to properly, and I know this sounds like a contradiction, but in order to properly and dysfunctionally love him? Do I have to tap into my trauma in order to properly love this broken man? Or can I operate from my healthy self, from a place of emotional intelligence, from a place of compassion and healthy love? Am I able to love him through that lens, or do I have to cuss him out? Do I have to purposefully ignore his phone calls or ignore him while he's talking to me, and he's sitting next to me in order for him to hear me? What side, my soft feminine side, can I love this man from, or do I have to love him from the side of me that's still in brokenness, in bitterness, and unforgiving? And from my side of being abandoned and rejected, what side of me do I have to, again, properly and dysfunctionally love him from? Have you taken that inventory? Have you truly dug deep, ladies, in order to be able to identify these sides of you that do in fact need work? Ladies, I urge you to take your inventory. Do that today, whether you're in a relationship or not. Because I'm going to tell you, a masculine man, he's not going to expect you or ask you to be perfect, but he is going to expect you to try to be better, to try to heal, to try to be more open, to try to work on your attitude, and for him to actually see the progress in those attempts. Don't just try, do. Well, I can try. Don't try it, do it. Make the conscious effort toward your healing. Check yourself in the action. If you notice you rolled your eyes, you say to yourself, girl, stop rolling your eyes. Cut the attitude. If he catches you, apologize. I know I shouldn't have done that. I was disrespectful to you. I understand. Do the work today. And I promise you, it may not happen tomorrow. It may not happen next week. But as long as you put in the constant effort, you will begin to heal. Your communication will improve. You'll feel lighter. You won't be so offended so easily. And you'll be able to walk into the door of your personal healing, of self-realization, of your new level of feminine introspection. And it will become easier to quote unquote rest in your feminine. It will be easier to be in a relationship because you'll be able to get along with yourself easier. You'll love on yourself better. Thus, you'll be able to give this man the healthy love, time, attention, and treatment that he deserves. And believe me, as you all heal and grow together, that will be reciprocated. And you will continue to evolve and grow together. And it's going to be so beautiful. But that's all I got for you. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. The truth has been signed, sealed, and delivered by yours truly. And if you like the content you see, then please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new uploads or when I go live. And if you know of any women who you think would benefit from this information, then please share. And until next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.